Codependency.
Codependency stolen enough from you? It's time to take your life back. I'm your host, Amy Moore, and this is Leave Your Toxic Relationship, where we cut through the lies, confront the patterns, and use God's truth to step into freedom. So I came out of that 6 weeks later. It was great. I came back. I got a job. I was staying with, you have to have a plan before you leave there. So I had the plan to stay with my two friends who are amazing. And I was going back and forth. I got my job. I was doing great. And prior to going, I had started a nonprofit and rented an office. So I was stuck in this lease for a year, even though I was not capable of doing the fundraising and the things that I wanted to do for this nonprofit. But anyways, I went by there after work one day to grab my computer, and there he was in my parking lot. And I pulled through to cut out, and he pulled in front of my car. And it was November 22nd of 2024. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" And he's like, "Oh, what do you mean, why am I here?" I'm like, "Yeah, why are you here in my parking lot? Like, why are you in here at 6 o'clock at night? What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, well, it's your birthday. I made reservations at Fogo de Chao." And I'm like, "What? No, my birthday's tomorrow, but why? I'm not talking to you." He's like, "Well, don't you want to see your cat?" Because he had my cat. I don't have a way to take care of her right now. Of course I want to see my cat. And he totally used that. Of course I go over there, and the cycle begins again. But this time I have the knowledge of what I learned at the Bridge to Recovery. I just don't have the time for all of it to kind of sink in, for my body to start really working through all of that in this world outside of the bridge, right? My brain knows it, my heart knows it, but my body's still so used to living in survival mode, to living in that chaos, to being treated a certain way, felt like home to my nervous system, even though it didn't feel like home to me. So I go to his house, I see my cat, we go to dinner, and I'm sharing with him, like, "Listen, the bridge was amazing. Like, I really thought if he would go, I really thought God was using me to let him know about how great this place is." I was like, "But if he would go, I was willing to have that chance of us working together, because there's a triangle in recovery, and if both people have to be going on this triangle and going at the kind of the same rate and everything and being on the same page, so you understand and you're both healing, and that's the way it works. If one of us is healing and one of us isn't, it's not going to work." Anyways, so he led me to believe that he would go to the Bridge to Recovery, and here we are. He's like, "Well, where are you staying?" And I told him where I was staying. He's like, "Well, listen, you can have that side of the house, stay on that side of the house. I won't bother you." And I was like, that sounded like heaven, because I'm sleeping in a guest room at one house and packing my things every day, and I'm sleeping on somebody's futon in their like game room, sunroom, and packing my things every day, and like having to make the futon out every night and pack up it was just, I was like, yeah, that sounded kind of like heaven right then. Like, yeah, I'll take this big bed that I love and it's comfortable, and I had picked out at the store a few years prior, and I get up and go to work and come home, and there were some benefits that he used. Like, we would go to dinner, and I didn't have to worry about bills, and I didn't have to do any of this other stuff. But he was still pretending like he was going to go to the Bridge to Recovery. And after a couple weeks, and I'm texting my son, I was like, "Hey, I think he's going to go. I think things could be great if he goes." And so my son's really happy, because my son doesn't know all the things that have happened, because you don't unload on a teenager what things are happening in your life. So, and he had already been through the dramatic stuff of divorcing his dad, and the dad being a drug addict, and the dad's not in the picture that often. So there was so much other stuff that I was just trying to have some normalcy for my child. So this happens. I'm at work. I can see that he's not going to go to the Bridge to Recovery. I have a friend who puts online this house she has for rent. I go and check it out, and I rent the house, and I keep working. So I start staying at my house and get it all set up, get a bed, and, I'm making it a home. But he's still acting like he's going to go to the bridge. And finally, like, my son's home for Christmas, and we are just acting like everything's normal. I'm actually staying at his house. So because my son has his room there, I'm staying there, and we're just acting like everything's normal, even though it isn't. And I mentioned the bridge to this guy again? And he's like, yeah. So he ends up calling. I was like, well, what'd they say? And he's like, oh, I need to do an intake interview. Drags that out a few more weeks, does the intake interview, says he's going to decide when he can go. Said it looked like it would be like March that he could go. One thing led to another, and that just got put off. And then after like March, April, May, he was like, yeah, I'm not saying it's off the table, but it's probably not going to happen this year and maybe next year. And, I kind of kept my distance. Like, I kept my wall up. We're not together. I'm working, it's March. And then, like, I was never at ease, never felt comfortable again there. Just wanted my son to have some normalcy. And this was his last year of high school, and he went to boarding school in South Carolina. So that happens. We are, pretending to be a family in moments, but my heart's not there. He's not doing what he said he would do. He did enough to pull me back in, but I wasn't fully in. And then over the summer, I'm struggling. Like, my credit's crap because I lived off my credit cards. And I was slowly pulling myself out of that when I'm working and when I was in Florida for a year and a half. But when I'm with him, he's like, oh, you don't need good credit. I'll take care of the bills. You don't really need anything. Again, looking back, I can see it, but I can't see it in the moment. I couldn't see it. But not only that, I didn't want to see it. I just wanted to I was still in that kind of survival mode. And my nervous system wasn't catching up to what my brain logically knew. So it's still like this tug and pull. It's like push and pull, push and pull. It was crazy. I felt out of my mind for real now because I knew better than to be in this situation with this person. So Logan's home for the summer, and he's going to college, and I can't figure out, like, I can't get approved for any kind of loan for him. And this guy who has money, it's not a thing for him at all to say, hey, I could help you. He just wouldn't. He just let me suffer. And the more he let me suffer, the harder it was for me to even like him. And then when he found out that Logan was going to get like tuition and some scholarships and he could apply for a certain amount of student loans, he's like, well, you know what? I'll help out with this amount. And that amount was almost enough to cover one semester. And I was like, you know what? What a blessing. This is a blessing. I'm going to take it for what it is. So we get Logan in school. I go with Logan. We drive. We get him in school and set up. And then this guy flies in the next day to see Logan off to school. I mean, he did pay for everything. He paid for our trip there, and he paid for Logan's tuition for the semester. And I just thought it was great. But when I'm with him, like, I started drinking again because I couldn't even cope with how I was feeling because of something that happened in 2023 at the same time of year. And I will be sharing that with another episode. So anyways, all this to say, you're not crazy, ladies. These covert narcissists, overt narcissists, whatever kind of narcissist you're living with, you are not crazy. Your nervous system has been conditioned to accept the bare minimum and to accept the fact that you don't matter. And you do. God says you matter. God says you do not have to put up with any of this, that He's got you. He will take care of you wholly and fully and show up in ways you never knew. And I promise you, once you start sharing your truth with your friends that maybe you have separated from, your family that they've kept you away from, and honestly, you feel bad because you may have shared some things and you went back, but they will embrace you. Get involved in church. Go serve. That was one thing. I wasn't allowed to serve. I wasn't allowed to be in a life group. Guess what, ladies? When I left, I joined a life group, and this woman has become one of my best friends. I started serving, and I love it. I promise you, once you start the process of separating and knowing you're going to separate, and maybe you need to plan, maybe financially you need to plan. I just knew when God told me, He literally told me today's the day. That was it for me. I wasn't going to look back. I wasn't going to worry about the finances. I knew He had me, and I just said, you know what? This is this. You've got this, Lord. I'm going to let you have it because I do not. Clearly, I cannot run my own life. So, all that. And I just want to share. I'm opening up about my personal journey because I know many women endure similar struggles in silence, feeling ashamed, embarrassed, or scared. Y'all, I was one of these women. It's sad to look back, and it's not even that long ago, but to look back and see where I was mentally, physically, all the things. That's not who I am. That does not define me. The things I put up with, the things I did, the drinking, all the sex, all those things don't define me. It's something I did, and I was literally surviving and coping. And if you have to cope by drinking or whatever you use, if you're using drugs or sleeping pills or whatever, just know when you get out of that, you don't have to do that anymore. The weight lifts, the clarity's there, your vision is different. Even if you don't know what you're doing tomorrow, you stand where your feet are right now, you be present and embrace the breath of air you get to breathe without this person controlling you. So, by sharing my experience, I hope you see you are not alone. You are not overreacting, and you are not crazy. You have been conditioned, some of us since birth. Let's lean into one another, begin to heal, and ensure that no one feels alone. They tricked us at the beginning. The manipulation is the plot twist. Their survival is all I knew before I went to the bridge to recovery and before I started listening to Jesus. Let me close with a few scriptures that I think they're so healing for me. I just can read and sit with these and know that God has me. So Isaiah 61:1, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness. Ah, that's so good. Freedom for the captives and release from darkness, ladies. That's just so rich and so good. 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles. Man. And this one, short but the best. Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Ladies, I pray for you all listening to my program. I pray that you find the healing you need, find the strength and the courage to step out in faith. I love you. I'm praying for you. Be blessed.
La 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 la. Simple strategies to break free from codependency.
Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and leave a review for the show on Apple Podcasts? It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. I look forward to connecting here next week. I'll be sharing more strategies to help you break free from codependency.